Part 116. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1151. Update the latest chapter of the Wanchaiwu View I created as soon as possible. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. One of the strange essences that make up me is the remains of life from the beginning of everything. I inherited some information in that wreckage. I know that everything now is the law of all things, and it is inevitable for everyone. But I didn't expect that this day would come so quickly and be caught so unprepared. Now all we can do is wait and wait for the true gate to come. That was the only chance to escape. Only by gathering all our strength could we escape. The weird people trembled slightly in their hearts when they heard Mo Xinggui's words. Now for them, this is not necessarily a bad thing. In past ages, they were bound by the residue that made up their own souls. The situation of life and death must be reversed. Let all the lives that have died and whose souls have been harvested reappear in this world. Resurrect the dead and let them enjoy the glory of life again. This is Weird's purpose all along, and that's why they have been fighting against the Holy Land. This is derived from the most fundamental persistence and intention in all weird natures. They have no choice but to resist. Once they refuse to carry out the last wish of all living beings, their power will collapse. But now all the chaos has cut off this bond. As long as they can break through the door of truth, they will completely get rid of all shackles and truly become a free existence. The future that is visible to the naked eye makes them all excited and strange. It's just that it may take quite a long time before the true gate arrives. They still need to wait patiently. In the chaotic space and time, a bright point appeared in this area. This point is radiated by two figures. It was the Hainu clan and the Xuanhuan clan. At this time, their backs were facing each other, exuding the radiance of true life, shrouding both of them, protecting them from being eroded by external forces. However, there are also many black spots on their bodies, which are eroding them little by little. Even the power of true life cannot completely ignore erosion. At this moment, a huge passage appeared in front of them. Twagushi, whose breath was greatly weakened, appeared in front of the two of them. Their eyes instantly caught Twagu's weakening power. The two of them frowned deeply, and heard Hainushi say in a low voice, "Mr. Twagu, how could you do this?" Twagushi said with a gloomy look on his golden face. "I discovered the place of life. Those three places of life that condense the true life of the world are still alive. It has turned into a huge fortress. If we take it, it will be easier to fight the outside forces." Hearing this, both the Hainu clan and the Xuanhuan clan were moved. This is indeed a good idea. But there's a problem standing in front of us. There is a being who has mastered the supreme destiny, Lin Yi from Wanchaiwu View. The man we once traded with, I suffered a big loss at his hands and almost couldn't come back. He is stronger than expected. The Hainu clan and the Xuanhuan clan were shocked. A message had been transmitted from the Twagu clan to their hearts. The two took a deep breath, and the scene from Twagushi was quite shocking. If any of them faced Lin Yi, there would be no good results. Just listen to Twagushi say in a low voice, "Think about the method I proposed last time. If you agree, we will become stronger. We can just separate them again if we have the opportunity in the future. But in the current situation we must unite as one and maximize our strength." The Hainu clan and the Xuanhuan clan fell into a slight silence. "Supreme Life, aren't you tempted? If we can capture him and study his supreme destiny, it will be a vital help to our breakthrough." Twagu's words undoubtedly stimulated the nerves in the hearts of the two of them. Longwang's voice was slightly hoarse and said, "You can give it a try." Kuroname sighed slightly, "We don't have much choice. The whereabouts of the other guys are unknown. It's possible that only the three of us are still alive. The lesser of two evils, with supreme destiny and a place of life, is enough for us to pay this small price." After talking, they finally reached an agreement. I saw Mr. Twigo walking over. The three of them sat with their backs facing each other, touching each other, and a strange power began to pervade them. They were chanting strange spells at the same time, and majestic power enveloped them. Their countless-year-old bodies began to emit a faint radiance, which quickly turned into countless particles of radiance. The dark spots on their bodies also fell off their bodies and were expelled. The radiance of three different colors were intertwined with each other, all converging into a brand new figure. This is a mysterious humanoid creature with a human head with 3 faces, 6 arms, and 2 legs. Each face has a strange pattern between its eyebrows, which represents a kind of true power. At this time, the power of the 3 true lives blended with each other, forming 3 light circles, covering the body of this humanoid creature. The 3 lights, shining against each other, seemed to have turned into a big millstone. Any power that approached would be ground away by these 3 forces. The indescribable power seemed to be unable to harm them anymore. The 3 faces were the 3 of Twigo. At this time, they were in tune with each other, as if they were one person. I only heard Twigo's face slowly say, "Start searching for the land of life, and be sure to snatch them away." I saw him raise his hand and wave, and the violent power tore apart the chaotic time and space in an instant. He turned into a stream of light, rushed into it, and disappeared. Changes were happening everywhere in the chaotic time and space, and each surviving existence had its own plans. At the same time, in the deepest part of the indescribable chaos, the huge strange black hole was still here, and the fluctuations it emitted seemed to have stopped at a certain frequency. A brand new change also appeared at the same time. Crack, crack, crack. It was as if something was broken. Fine cracks appeared on the huge black hole. These cracks were spreading bit by bit, and as cracks appeared one by one, a more terrifying corrosive force leaked out from the cracks. The corrosive force quickly spread to the entire chaotic space-time. The matter, energy, world fragments, etc. that were originally floating in the chaotic space-time and slowly decaying. With the arrival of a force, it was recovering at a speed thousands of times faster. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1152. A huge wave rose again, rushing towards everything in the chaotic time and space. It can be seen with the naked eye that everything is completely collapsed and turned into ashes wherever the huge wave passes. All the chaotic areas are turning into a graveyard of ashes. This new wave also hit the surviving Holy Land, Weirdness, and the Land of Life. The weird tumor created by the weirdness is accelerating the collapse under this new erosion force. All the weirdness felt the huge pressure, and they began to increase the transmission of power to resist this erosion. The strong men of the Holy Land, the black stones they controlled, were also having problems. This huge erosion force made the stones seem a little overwhelmed. The Emperor God and the Red Emperor were also shocked, and immediately with other Yajin, encouraged the true life to be injected into the black stone to resist the erosion of external forces. Everyone took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in their eyes. They had a premonition that a huge disaster was spreading rapidly, which made them tremble with fear. This seemed to be just the beginning. The huge torrent also affected the trinity of Hainu, Tuogu, and Longhuang, who were traveling through the space-time channel. They were directly knocked out of the huge space-time channel. The space-time channel was turned into ashes under this erosive force and no longer existed. It was almost impossible for them to cross the huge coordinates in a short time. The huge erosive force from the outside world made them no longer dare to waste their strength blindly. They could only support a solid barrier with all their strength to protect themselves from being eroded. What's going on? Why did this change suddenly happen? The destruction is further intensifying, and we don't have much time. The 3 thoughts were entangled with each other, telling their own guesses. An ominous shadow shrouded their behavior. At the same time, the Land of Life was also affected. Waves of erosive force hit the glory of life like a tide. The land of life shook violently, as if something huge was constantly hitting the land of life. The land of life was like a swaying ship, trembling and drifting in the raging ocean. A kind of despair rose in everyone's heart, and infinite danger enveloped everyone's mind. In the land of life, time was still slowly passing. In the blink of an eye, it seemed that another 100 years had passed. A series of desperate things happened in this 100 years. First, the land of life began to be eroded. At present, all the remaining lives have mastered the power of the second level of mind. But even this level of mind power can't let them survive for long in this weird erosion. As long as the existence of the second level of mind power shows signs of erosion, then it can only last for 10 void years at most, and will turn into ashes in this situation. The third level of the mind power can only support 30 or 40 years. As for the fourth level of the mind power, it can only support 100 years. The land of life itself began to be eroded. Black spots appeared on the ground and in the space, and the eroded places would turn into ashes. The exposed holes cannot be repaired by any force. It is like a hole dug in time and space, a hole that can never be repaired, weird and terrifying. In just 100 years, the two lifelands have become riddled with holes, and hundreds of millions of holes have appeared. These holes are large and small, the big ones can directly compare to a world, and the small ones may be only the size of a palm. The dense holes are all over every corner of the lifeland. The rulers who have been observing the state of the entire lifeland feel great pressure. In 100 years, the entire lifeland has lost nearly half of its lives again. They all died due to the erosion of indescribable power. This result scared everyone, the lifeland weakened again, and the true life was affected. Every life form is eager to find a way to save it, but it is of no use at all. Only Linyi's Xuanhuan, the marine lifeland inside, is almost always under the protection of the boundless true life. The weird erosion force from the outside world can never break through the protection of Linyi's true life. In the land of darkness of the central continent, all the rulers gathered here, and a trace of heaviness appeared in their eyes. If they continue like this, there will be at most 100 years before the land of life will completely perish. They will not even wait for the arrival of the gate of truth and will go to extinction. Even Ula, who has mastered the true destiny, feels a huge pressure. If she leaves the land of life, she may not be able to hold on for long outside. The indescribable corrosive force is much stronger than when everything was born. Taking a deep breath, they showed a solemn look in their eyes. If we continue like this, I'm afraid all of us will die. The voice of the God Emperor Dragon said in a low voice, "What should we do next? Who of you has a solution?" Everyone fell into silence, and no one had the right answer. At this time, Linyi said slowly, "Don't despair, maybe there will be other roads soon. All the sudden changes have reasons." Hearing Linyi's words, everyone's eyes fell on him. At this time, Linyi looked into the distance, penetrating all the constraints, and saw the source of all the indescribable things. There was a huge black hole there, which was rapidly breaking. A strange figure appeared in the black hole, and this figure exuded a breath that eroded everything. It was as if it was born inexplicably and destroyed everything. At the same time, an illusory door slowly emerged and appeared behind this figure. All life felt the change in the projection of the gate of truth. An inexplicable attraction was guiding them in the direction. That was the direction of hope. Not only Linyi, all the strong men felt this change. In the dark land of the central continent, pairs of eyes were lit with hope. The gate of truth? It actually came. Hope, there is hope there, the members of the Superworld Alliance were all boiling. Originally, they had all given up hope, but now the sudden change has rekindled their hope for life. Linyi looked at them excitedly and said nothing, because he knew that it was not that easy to enter the gate of truth. Now the land of life is surrounded by an indescribable corrosive force. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1153. The time left for them is running out. They have only one choice, to move forward to the gate of truth, otherwise they will be gradually eroded by this indescribable force and eventually perish. In front of the gate of truth, there is an extremely terrifying disaster waiting for them. Anyone who approaches will be destroyed. Unless they can avoid this existence that destroys everything, it will still be a dead end. And they don't know this yet. They can only sense the existence of the gate of truth, but can't feel the terrifying figure that destroys everything. The trinity of the Twigo clan, drifting with the erosion force, also felt the attraction of the gate of truth, and their faces showed great joy. What is this? The gate of truth has really appeared. Now we have hope. Hurry, go over quickly. It can't be too late. This is just the beginning of everything. At this time, in countless chaotic fragments of time and space, some mysterious objects emit inexplicable light. Then, something amazing happened. These lights seemed to light up something, as if guiding something to come. One after another, mysterious figures seemed to have come across endless time and walked out of countless fragments of time and space. Originally, some time and space should have been destroyed, but there was existence, walking out of it. At this time, in the void of the land of life, the miracle coins that had been controlled by the ancient gods and Tianji respectively. The original 10 series suddenly emitted a wonderful light. The 10 series gathered together out of thin air and directly escaped from their control. The 10 coins turned into a ring shape, and the majestic power burst out from it and gathered in the center. It was as if a passage was opened, and a hazy figure walked out of the passage. It seemed that there were thousands of troops, countless shouts, countless roars, and countless tragic breaths. A blood-stained figure, with a bronze glow all over his body, and muscles all over his body, like a barbarian. His hair was very thick, like a mad snake, flying above his head, and a piece of animal skin was wrapped around his lower body. He stepped out of this mysterious vortex with empty hands. With his arrival, an extremely terrifying true destiny light rose from his body. The vortex channel behind him turned into ashes at the same time, and the mysterious bronze barbarian roared. I'm finally here. The final era has begun. Everything that happened in the Void Lifeland also immediately attracted the attention of the Superworld Alliance. One after another, eyes fell on the mysterious descender. A majestic force descended at the same time, and the power of true destiny entropy poured down. In an instant, it enveloped this mysterious existence. However, they did not launch an attack, and the projection of the Operator King came to the mysterious man silently. Hello, mysterious strong man, why did you appear in our lifeland? The barbarian covered by the bronze light looked at the Operator King. His eyes revealed supreme domineering, as if nothing in the world could make him look sideways. He looked around and showed a hint of interest. It's really interesting. A place of life has not been destroyed by indescribable destruction. The gate of truth has appeared. I don't have time to waste with you. Get out of the way. I don't want to fight here. As he spoke, a violent bronze light rose from his body. In this bronze light, the power of entropy increase seemed to be affected. It was being dyed bronze. A trace of anger rose in the hearts of all members of the Superworld Alliance. But they finally suppressed their anger, because the one in front of them was a sub-true or true existence. Others had the ability to compete with the void in its heyday. Now with the destruction of a large number of lives, the power of the void's true destiny, entropy increase was also affected. They had to let go of the power of entropy increase. The bronze light enveloped the barbarian, instantly tearing the barrier of the void and heading towards the outside world. A thought echoed throughout the void. Since we were born in the same land of life, I'm giving you a warning. The gate of truth is the only chance. If you miss it, you'll die. As the voice was spoken, the azure light disappeared from everyone's perception. Everyone felt their scalps tingling, and an inexplicable fear enveloped everyone's heart. In the indescribable chaos, one figure after another continued to appear. There were quite a few of them, at least hundreds. They didn't know how they appeared, and each of them had an unimaginable powerful true power. All of them were real and sub-real beings, and at least 3 of them had auras comparable to real people. After they appeared, they all went to the center of chaos without any hesitation. At this time, the central continent was in the dark land. Everyone looked at each other, and an order was issued. Let's get started, go to the center of all chaos, and find the gate of truth. That's our only chance. As the voice fell, the huge land of life began to move. All lives gathered together, majestically agitating their spiritual power. There is also infinite spiritual power, and the light of 4 true destinies covers the 2 places of life. Even Ula made a move. Now was not the time for him to hold back. The huge land of life, like a planet, began to accelerate little by little. It was getting faster and faster. With 4 true destinies as a protective layer, everything that appeared in front of it would be destroyed instantly. At this time, the mysterious huge creature, the center of all the chaos, quietly stopped in front of the gate of truth. His eyes were dark, as if he noticed a mysterious existence coming here. He didn't care at all, just quietly waiting for their arrival, like a gatekeeper. In the Wanchi house, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with the brilliance of the true destiny, and he was observing the mysterious strong men who suddenly appeared. He felt the unparalleled brilliance of the true destiny on these strong men, and some even mastered the power of 2 true destinies. Each one is a unique character with various different races. But he discovered an amazing thing. These beings who mastered the true destiny seemed to transform their bodies into humanoid beings. Thinking about it, he felt that there seemed to be some secrets in it. Is there anything special about the human form? Through the power of the true destiny, he can naturally see the essence of any existence. The essence of many human-shaped beings is not human at all. But through the power of the true destiny, they have changed their external form. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1154. Lin Yi looked at the gate of truth thoughtfully. There appeared an illusory and hazy gate, without any other colors on it, as if it was made up of pure lines. The gate was open, but you couldn't see what was on the other side, only a mysterious haze. In front of the gate, stood an illusory black figure, like a door god, blocking everyone's way forward. This was a human-shaped existence, the same size as the gate behind it, about 3 meters. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi felt more and more that everything seemed to be controlled by a pair of big hands. An inexplicable mechanism has affected everything from the beginning to the end. And now, it seems that when everything is completely coming to an end, the black hand behind the scenes seems to be surfacing. He felt that all this seemed like a screening out those who can pass the final test. After passing all the tests, you can step into the gate of truth. But what is behind the gate of truth? No one knows. The only thing Lin Yi could be sure of was that no matter what it was, he had to go. He, like all other lives, had no way out. If he was alone in the indescribable chaos, he would also have a day when his spiritual waves were exhausted and recovery could not catch up with the consumption. At that time, he would die, and now there was no time for him to complete the infinite true destiny. Even if he had grasped the essence of the spiritual waves. Time passed slowly, and waves of people gathered in front of the gate of the truth. But they were very cautious and stayed away from there. Looking at the mysterious gatekeeper standing in front of the gate, they felt inexplicable pressure. That was the threat of death. In a huge rock, the beings of the Holy Land looked at the gate of the truth with sharp eyes, burning with a trace of greed. In the tumor on the other side, the 5 weirds and the weirds were also looking forward to it. Scattered around, the mysterious strong men from all walks of life also looked solemn. The huge land of life slowly approached from a distance and landed in the last position. Facing the peak strongmen in front of them, the land of life is definitely not an opponent. Time passed by minute, and with the arrival of the land of life, no more strongmen arrived. Now, there are a total of 5 real people left in the Holy Land, and 23 sub-real people. There are 53 strange people in the weird continent. And there are a total of 137 mysterious strongmen from each era. Including Wu La and Lin Yi in the land of life, there are nearly 210 strongmen who have condensed the true destiny. But among these strongmen, none can fight the mysterious gatekeeper in front of the gate alone. Then the alliance is the only choice. Everyone who can live here has experienced countless disasters. Their minds are smarter than anyone else and will never make any mistakes. One by one, thoughts began to connect, and a meeting of the true destiny level strongmen was being held. Lin Yi and Wu La were also part of this meeting and participated in it. An illusory land composed entirely of thoughts, where the thoughts of 210 strongmen gathered. Among the mysterious strongmen, there were 3 who could rival the real people and stood up first. One of them was glowing with purple light, had no face, but had a human form, and said slowly, everyone has spent countless costs to get here. My name is Zitian, I won't say any more nonsense. My suggestion is to focus all your fire and destroy this gatekeeper. Looking at the current situation, if we don't solve him, I'm afraid we won't have a chance to enter. After destroying it, we will rush to the gate of truth, each relying on their own ability. What do you think? Okay. What if it doesn't work? In the Holy Land, Tuogu said slowly. At this time, Hainu and Longhuang were still fused together. Their power was also the strongest among all the strong men present. His question naturally attracted everyone's attention. Zitian said coldly, if it doesn't work, then we will rely on our own abilities. If we unite together, we can't destroy the gatekeeper. That means no matter what, we can't destroy it. Then all we can do is rely on our own abilities. If you can rush in, you will have a way to survive, and if you can't rush in, you will die. But you should have a hunch about what the result will be if you directly attack the gate of truth. Zitian's words were agreed by everyone. No one who can come here is a fool and will be cannon fodder for others. Everything depends on strength. After reaching an agreement, everyone quickly gathered together. The huge power of true destiny began to gather, one after another. The infinite brilliance gathered in this chaotic and indescribable ashes. The power from 210 true destiny masters and the true destiny of the world in the land of life, how powerful and terrible it is. The power of true destiny gathered together, as if it had turned into a chaotic brilliance that could not be described in words. The door opener had already attracted his attention. He slowly raised his head and looked towards the place where the light was. Tuogu's thoughts echoed, everyone, don't hold back. Go all out. We don't have many chances. At this moment, all the power reached the peak. Everyone output to the extreme. Lin Yi, as one of them, naturally did not hesitate. The power of boundless life and true destiny perseverance was activated at the same time, covering this huge true destiny brilliance. He wanted to use the power of these strong men to see if he could destroy this mysterious gatekeeper. He had already watched the true destiny of everyone here, and none of them could reach the level of boundless true destiny and 108 handprints. With the blessing of boundless true destiny and true destiny perseverance, it seemed to attract the attention of the gatekeeper even more. The gatekeeper slowly raised his hand, and an indescribable ripple rose from his hand, turning into an endless torrent that enveloped them. This torrent did not even have any traces, but in their hearts, they saw a huge wave covering the sky and the sun sweeping over. Without any hesitation, all the power bloomed. An extremely huge sphere of true destiny brilliance slowly moved towards the direction of the gate of truth. At this time, the power of boundless true destiny and true destiny perseverance had not really erupted. The effects of these two true destinies could not be exerted because of this sudden attack. Otherwise, although this ball of light can pass through the torrent's attack, they will have to face it head-on. This result is very dangerous. The strong men present may be injured if they are caught off guard. His strength must be used at the most critical moment. The silent and invisible torrent swept over, and the moment it touched the violent force, the two had a violent conflict. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1155. The indescribable power was like a torrent, but in the brilliance of the power of the true destiny, there was also chaos, and then it was completely broken. This slight obstruction affected the power of many true destinies, and at least 1/5 of its volume was consumed. However, the brilliance continued to move forward and crashed into the gatekeeper in front of the true gate. This collision was like a purple gold thunder that collapsed the sky and the earth. It overturned the heaven and earth, and the jade pillars, and wanted to pull everything into a chaotic chaos. This brilliance was 10,000 meters in size, and it looked as if the earth crashed into the moon. And the moon was the mysterious gatekeeper. Looking at the oncoming danger, the gatekeeper slowly took a step forward, and the next moment, his body suddenly expanded 3,000 times out of thin air. He turned into a 10,000-meter giant, with his hands embracing the void, as if he was going to hug this huge brilliance in the next moment. An indescribable power gushed out of his body crazily, as if to annihilate all the power of the true destiny brilliance. At this moment, things changed drastically again. The light actually passed through his interception silently, and the indescribable power seemed to be ignored. This sudden change was obviously beyond the giant's expectations. The light of the true destiny directly passed through the indescribable power blockade extended from his hands. An endless green light enveloped the light of the true destiny, allowing him to ignore the restraint of the indescribable power. In the end, the light of the true destiny completely enveloped the giant. The next moment, the green light disappeared in an instant. What followed was the huge burst of power of the true destiny light. Countless true destiny powers madly impacted the giant's body. Every corner of his body was wrapped in the light of the true destiny, and no part could escape the scouring of the true destiny. This sudden change was obviously beyond the giant's expectations. In the end, the light completely enveloped the gatekeeper, leaving no gap. The next moment, the power of the boundless true destiny and the perseverance of the true destiny disappeared. What followed was the complete outbreak of the huge true destiny light. More than 200 true powers, with various properties and conflicting explosions, have increased their power several times. Countless true powers are madly attacking the giant's body. Every corner of his body is wrapped in the brilliance of true destiny, and no part can escape the scouring of true destiny. The mysterious gatekeeper suffered a fierce blow, and the violent power bloomed wildly. All the strong men looked here, and they were all waiting for the final result. They all wanted to see if the gatekeeper would be killed by their power. In a cold and angry roar, the boundless and violent indescribable power surged out of the gatekeeper's body like a tide. The huge power swept around like a wave. The true glory of his life was directly pushed away by this huge power. All the strong men showed a trace of joy in their eyes. Because the indescribable power can only push their power away, but cannot destroy their power. And this means that their power can have an effect on the sky. At this time, using the indescribable power, all the countless true power was pushed away. The true face and true state of the gatekeeper were revealed. It was a humanoid existence that was 10,000 meters tall, and its whole body was black, but it only had a humanoid appearance and did not have any other organs. It was more like a clay doll that was kneaded at random. At this time, hundreds of different scars appeared on his body. Some were golden crystals, some were black rocks, and some had strange pustules, or sunken deep pits. It can be imagined that a person had more than 200 completely different scars on his body. These scars were all over his body, and no one was intact. How shocking this picture was! Seeing this effect, Zitian's mind vibrated. It works, everyone continued to attack. Without any hesitation, another attack appeared. The huge true light gathered together and continued to turn into a huge sphere, covering the gatekeeper. At this time, the gatekeeper, who was madly gushing with the indescribable power, seemed to be angry. He suddenly stepped on his feet, and an invisible vibration, like a wave, swept towards the sphere of the true destiny light. At the same time, his fists kept swinging, and the violent Mach name-shaped power gushed out continuously. The power of bombardment fell madly on the oncoming true destiny light. Facing such intensive attacks, Lin Yi did not exert his true destiny effect. The power from the gatekeeper must be consumed. The first wave of huge waves hit the true destiny light, and the Mach name-shaped fluctuations and huge waves collapsed instantly. The power of the true destiny light was also weakened, and then there were huge torrents that fell on the torrent of the true destiny light one after another. In the end, the true destiny light still collapsed and turned into countless fragments. This time their attack failed. Zitian's voice sounded, "Now everyone will fight on their own. Focus from different directions, focusing from one direction will have no effect." Although many of them met for the first time, they had an inexplicable tacit understanding. It directly transformed into 210 different figures, heading in all directions. Then, life force burst out one after another, attacking the gatekeeper. For example, Wu La at this time, she was filled with a kind of black vortex power. With a finger pointing, a vortex appeared out of thin air at the gatekeeper's feet. The vortex enveloped the gatekeeper's feet, and a huge force burst out instantly. But the gatekeeper's body was filled with indescribable power. He raised his foot and shook it, and this power lost its effect directly. The vortex collapsed instantly, and did not cause him any harm. It just made him lower his head slightly and look at his feet. At the same time, hundreds of attacks also fell on him. A figure emitting black and gold appeared behind him, like a giant, with 6 arms, 3 true destinies, and the power converged and fell heavily on his back. The huge power exploded directly, which was the power of the Trinity of Tugu. This power was so strong that even the gatekeeper's body leaned forward unconsciously. A huge gap appeared behind it. Rays of light, the power of true destinies, one after another, exploded continuously. No one held back, and everyone could feel the great danger that the gatekeeper brought to them. There was an extremely deep power hidden in the other party's body. It was a terror from the heart, and they knew that they had to eliminate the other party before he could really show his power. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1156. The attacks came one after another, and the gatekeeper was shaking constantly, and it seemed that he would fall down completely at any time. But they were not happy, because the gatekeeper's breath did not decrease at all. An inexplicable power was accumulating in the opponent's body, and everyone attacked more frequently. The true powerhouses were outputting madly, and their own power was increased to the extreme. Almost all of them reached the second stage of the true power. This mighty power was incredible, and every attack could destroy a life place. At this time, the 2 life places that had not participated in the war, countless people in them looked at the battle outside, and their faces changed wildly. That was not a war they could intervene in at all, and entering meant death. At this time, they had already launched the power of the world's true destiny. Because the indescribable power kept colliding with the true destiny, the power emitted had already caused the two life places to fall into a shaky state, and it seemed that they could collapse at any time. At this time, the gatekeeper standing in front of the gate of truth suddenly stopped moving. The next moment, countless rays of light composed of indescribable power burst out from his body and shone in all directions. A true fate-level warrior with silver light all over his body was hit by one of the rays before he could react. But he didn't seem to be hurt. He looked down at the place where he was hit strangely. There was no scar, but the next moment, fear appeared on his face. Something he couldn't understand happened, and his true fate seemed to collapse. No, how could it be possible? Save me, save me. He struggled frantically, but the next moment, he froze. A mock's nameless power emerged from his body. Then, his body turned into a piece of black rock. Finally, he shattered into countless fragments. And this was just the beginning of everything. This chaotic light was madly shooting around. These lights were dense and covered every area around. As if they had eyes, they swept towards those true fate-level warriors. At this time, the true fate-level warrior closest to the gatekeeper died, which immediately awakened everyone. They began to use various means to avoid the pursuit of this force. Lin Yi was shrouded in the power of true destiny boundless and true destiny perseverance. Now, he has been penetrated by a ray of light. Although this ray of light caused great consumption, it could not kill him. His body flashed slightly and disappeared from the path of this ray of light. This ray of light seemed to have some mysterious power, and quickly turned around and locked onto him and kept chasing. Looking at the mysterious ray of light chasing him, Lin Yi frowned and pointed directly with one hand. The power of the root of true destiny flashed, and directly collided with this indescribable ray of light. An amazing thing happened. Under the power of the root of true destiny, this ray of light directly solidified into a tangible substance. This substance shattered into countless pieces in the next moment. At this time, in the indescribable ashes around, one by one, the true destiny-level strongmen used all their strength to break the rays that tracked them. But everyone had a considerable degree of consumption. A thought sounded in everyone's mind. No, this gatekeeper is too powerful, his power is almost unlimited. In this indescribable environment, his power will never have an upper limit, and there will be no day when it will be exhausted. We must do our best to defeat him once and for all and destroy his existence, otherwise we will lose the war of attrition. The idea came from Tuogu. As an existence that has ruled the Holy Land for countless years, he was keenly aware of the problem. The other true destiny-level strongmen were not fools either, and they also noticed the changes in the gatekeeper. After emitting countless indescribable rays of light, the gatekeeper's breath dropped sharply. But it recovered to its peak in a short time, with an interval of only a few seconds. All the people stopped attacking and quickly moved away from the gatekeeper. Although they were moving away from the gatekeeper did not let them go. At this time, he exuded indescribable power all over his body, took huge steps, and tracked them. All the true destiny-level strongmen quickly dispersed and communicated through the thoughts of their hearts. It's not easy to destroy him with one blow. What do you think? One after another, the thoughts were communicating with each other. Everyone was thinking, what should they do? The situation was very dangerous at this time. The gatekeeper began to chase them, bringing terrible pressure. He walked while waving his fists. Every blow was accompanied by an indescribable torrent of power. His power was irresistible. Any single strong man of true destiny could not resist it. At this time, the stars of the Holy Land just appeared on the track of the torrent. The hair stood up, and the glory of true destiny was instantly raised to the extreme by him. The spiritual power was gushing out crazily, infusing true destiny, and staying away from the track of the torrent. But the farther the range of the torrent was, the wider the area covered was, and it spread in a fan-shaped structure. Bang! With a huge collision sound, the lower body of the stars was hit on the spot. It exploded directly and turned into countless fragments. But the stars also avoided the fatal blow by a hair's breadth. The radiance of his true destiny flickered throughout his body, as if he was recovering from the attack. But this blow was not so easy to recover from, and he was surprised to find that the injured part of his body could not grow again. It was as if his lower body was wiped out from the root. A trace of fear flashed through his heart, and at this moment, a huge foot came from a distance. It stepped towards him with an extremely terrifying force. Looking at the oncoming attack, Fang Xing's face was instantly filled with fear. But there was no way, he was hit by endless shocks in an instant. The remaining body also exploded at the same time, leaving no trace, and died so simply. Fang Xing, one of the 3 sub-true ones under Daija, fell. This extremely terrifying scene shocked all the true destiny strong men. Everyone was farther away, and they were all working their brains frantically, looking for a way to break through. And Fang Xing was just the beginning, and soon another true destiny level existence fell. The one who fell was a strange, and he was directly caught by the arm of the gatekeeper. "You want me dead? Impossible. Get out of my way." Endless dark green light exploded from his body, and his body expanded rapidly, turning into a monster even bigger than the gatekeeper. His whole body was covered with green carapace, and the dark green true power seemed to be corrupting everything. Facing the oncoming gatekeeper, he showed no fear at all. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1157. The gatekeeper was enveloped in an extremely terrifying corrupt power. Countless pits and dents appeared on the surface of his body. But facing a monster that was even bigger than himself, the gatekeeper had already grabbed it with both hands. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. Then indescribable power gushed out from his hands, and the huge monster was torn in half in an instant like a piece of paper. At the same time, both halves of the body were held in his hands, and turned into black stone under the indescribable power. The stone was completely broken, turned into pieces, and finally turned into ashes. An alien from the strange continent was wiped out from this world without leaving anything. And Yajin had no resistance in front of the gatekeeper. One by one, the true fate level strongmen also had their hearts pounding, as if they had seen their own doomsday. No, if we continue like this, we will be separated and killed. We must go all out and unreservedly burst out all our strength. We must create an opportunity to truly defeat him. Zi Tian's mind shouted wildly. All the true fate level masters naturally understood the current situation. But now they have no chance. Even if they gather their strength, they will be unexpectedly defeated by the gatekeeper just like the previous 2 concentrated fires. At this time, the Trinity Tuogu said, "We must let it emit the destructive light just now again. At that time, he will be weak for a short while. That is our only chance. But this process will be very dangerous, and we must be able to seize the opportunity. With our current strength, there is only one chance to burst out with all our strength. If we fail, with our current strength, there is no chance to burst out a second attack. Lin Yi of the Wanchaiwu, we need your supreme true destiny power." The 4 words supreme true fate fell into everyone's ears and shocked them instantly. One after another, unbelievable eyes fell on Lin Yi. Supreme true destiny, these true destiny level beings all have a vague idea of it. The strong men in the Holy Land and the Weird Continent naturally know very well what it is. Those true destiny level strong men from various times and various life places have long known in countless times that true destiny also has upper and lower levels. Most of them are just true destiny constructed with 49 eternal properties. Above them are true destiny with 72 eternal properties and 81 eternal properties. And even higher true destiny with 108 eternal properties. Those who condense 81 eternal properties of true destiny can be called true people. So far, no one has ever discovered 108 eternal properties of true destiny. Now Twago of the Holy Land continent said this in front of all the true destiny level strong men, and immediately attracted their attention. Lin Yi looked at him expressionlessly, and his attention was always on the huge gatekeeper in front. Yes. I can guarantee that his power cannot cause any harm to us at the most critical moment. A cold light flashed in Twago's eyes. With the protection of the Supreme True Destiny, we have a chance. Let's start preparing now. At this time, everyone suppressed their shock at the Supreme True Destiny and began to design a plan to kill. They are all the top existences in countless universes, countless worlds, and countless time and space. It took only a few seconds for the communication of thoughts to formulate a perfect action plan. The next moment, everyone moved at the same time. They appeared in various parts of the gatekeeper's body in an instant through various methods. The power of the true destiny also erupted at the same time, falling on every area of the gatekeeper's body. The huge power made the gatekeeper seem to be fixed in an instant, and each true destiny might be very weak. But the power of more than 200 true destinies erupted at the same time, and the gatekeeper could not get rid of the shackles of power for a while. At this time, the brilliance of the true destiny appeared in every corner of the gatekeeper's body, and it was like being stuck in a fixed area and unable to move. The next moment, all the true fate level masters gathered together at the same time. One after another, true fates gathered in front of them, and the vast true fate brilliance fell with a bang. It crashed towards the bound gatekeeper. The gatekeeper faced the crisis and exploded instantly. The whole body once again spread out a violent and indescribable torrent of power. Rays shot out from every corner of his body. The life brilliance that bounded around was instantly shattered by countless rays, leaving no trace. Even the huge true fate brilliance falling from the top of the head was completely penetrated by the power of the rays, and it was completely disintegrated before it fell. However, this violent power explosion caused the gatekeeper's power to drop to a low point in an instant. At the same time, a true fate power exploded, and in just an instant, it enveloped all of them. It was the supreme true fate from Lin Yi, the true fate without boundaries and the true fate with perseverance. All the rays flashed past them without leaving any trace. At the same time, a strange true life flashed from a Yajin, and the next moment, all the people disappeared from the spot, and when they reappeared, they were already above the gatekeeper's head. At this moment, the gatekeeper's breath fell to the bottom. When this group of true destiny level beings appeared, extremely violent power had already erupted from them. They almost took out all their foundation at this moment and pushed the power of true destiny to the extreme. After this attack, they will also lose 95% of their power. If you don't succeed, you will die. Don't think that these true destiny level strongmen have lost their courage because they have a long true destiny. Trapped in this realm for countless years, everyone has long been desperate. As long as there is any opportunity in front of them, they are willing to fight even at the cost of their lives. Each of them has an incomparable ability to make decisions and will never be timid because of time. The only remaining 207 true destinies all burst and fell on the head of the gatekeeper. Even the lifeland in the distance, which was swaying and even riddled with holes under the impact of several Mach Ming's power, responded. The power of the three world true destinies tore everything apart and destroyed everything. The three light pillars merged into one and fell heavily on the chest of the gate opener. The infinite light of destiny seemed to illuminate the entire chaotic area of Mach at this moment. It was as if a new sun rose, illuminating everything in the world, dispelling darkness and chaos, and bringing new hope. It was visible to the naked eye that under the power of the light of destiny, the gatekeeper, whose breath had dropped greatly, had countless cracks starting from the head and spreading to the body. It seemed that it would collapse in the next moment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1158. Boom boom. The gatekeeper shattered and turned into countless torrents, and an extremely huge and indescribable explosion occurred. An indescribable force that was so vast that it was unimaginable surged up like a tsunami, rushing towards the surroundings and drowning everything along the way. The true destiny-level powerhouses around were all involved. All the powerhouses felt the catastrophe sweeping over. No, why is this happening? A true destiny-level powerhouse showed fear on his face and shouted. But the next moment, he was swept into the huge waves and disappeared without even a wave. And he was just one of the 200 true destiny-level powerhouses. Damn it, I'm not willing to accept this, another true destiny-level powerhouse roared angrily before his death. Each of them has crossed countless eras, countless disasters and trials to reach the present. They paid an unparalleled price to come to this era, the final era. Now, when they were about to win, they were caught in the aftermath of the disaster. One after another, the powerful true fate-level warriors exploded in the indescribable waves and turned into a ball of fireworks. They died so lightly that they didn't even have any chance to turn the tables. At this time, in the huge waves, Lin Yi's figure was shattered in the torrent, turned into countless light spots, and finally disappeared. This was just a clone of Lin Yi. From beginning to end, he never showed his real body. His real body had always been hidden in the Wanqi house, so at this last moment, although he consumed 95% of his spiritual waves, he escaped the final wave of impact and returned safely. However, at this time, this huge wave had already rushed to the border of the land of life. The huge force hit the glory of the true fate of the world and the true fate of all beings heavily. Crack, crack, crack. Countless cracks were covered with the glory of the true fate in an instant. No, the Operator King roared in despair. The members of the Super World Alliance were frantically pouring their spiritual power into pushing the world's true destiny, Shangzhen. They wanted to save the land of life and save their own lives. The God Emperor Dragon of the Central Continent, as well as a group of demon gods and the will of all living beings, all operated the power of their hearts to the extreme and pushed the world's true destiny. But the result was a pity. The indescribable power that erupted when the gatekeeper died was too powerful. The land of life, like two balloons hit by a huge wave, could not bear it at all and exploded directly in the next moment. Billions of lives, almost in this instant, faced the erosion of the indescribable power. There was no possibility of resistance. They began to be eroded by the indescribable power and transformed into stone. It was irreversible and everything was heading towards destruction. At this time, the Wanqiwu was shrouded in a layer of the power of the boundless true destiny and the perseverance of the true destiny, which temporarily stabilized itself. But Lin Yi's eyes were also very anxious. He had little power left now, and the weirdness had long been extinct. He could no longer restore the spiritual wave by killing the weirdness. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed, and a figure fell into his sight. A strange person from the strange continent, completely in a half-crippled state, was coming towards him, under the impact of the boundless torrent. The power of Mok's name has eroded nearly half of his body, and he is frantically shaking his remaining power to block this wave of torrents. But according to his current situation, he can only hold on for a dozen seconds at most. A thought appeared in his mind, this way, come quickly. In an instant, he noticed the Wanqiwu that was tossing in the torrent. His eyes immediately showed great joy, and he knew that the opportunity had come. It's saved. He naturally recognized who Lin Yi was. In this state, more power means more life. He had no idea that the Wanqiwu was waiting for him with a mouthful of teeth. He quickly encouraged the remaining power, turning it into a gray-white light, and the power of the true destiny made the final protection. All the unnamed powers illuminated by his true destiny light will undergo strange changes in an instant. It will become twisted matter, energy, creatures, or other things. But these distortions will also be hit by more indescribable torrents at the same time, and eventually become endless ashes and be worn out. This opened a way for him to survive, the way to the Wanchaiwu. At this time, the door of the Wanchaiwu had been opened, and Lin Yi's figure appeared there, looking at him anxiously. This Yi is called ashes, and everything that touches it will end up in ashes. But what he didn't expect was that Mok Mingzhuang's power was more terrifying than his, and this time it would end up in ashes. Looking at the open door, endless hope burst out of Ash's heart, and finally, he came to a position 1 meter in front of the Wanchaiwu. If he took another step forward, he would rush in, but the next moment, he was stunned. A torrent of 1 billion eternal nature rushed out of the door, and under the wrapping of the boundless power of the true destiny, it instantly submerged him. He didn't even have time to react. Countless eternal properties, under the influence of the boundless power of his true destiny, came to every basic structure of his body. His true destiny was completely unable to suppress Lin Yi's true destiny, and the result was bound to be tragic. The next moment, he exploded directly, and everything in his body was destroyed, and finally turned into an extremely terrifying and weird essence, which was sucked into Lin Yi's mind. In the operation of the true destiny, it was finally transformed into infinite spiritual waves, and Lin Yi's consumption was restored again. At this moment, he breathed a sigh of relief. The spiritual waves in their heyday, this indescribable force, although powerful, could not cause him any harm in a short time. With time, there are opportunities and possibilities. He used the boundless power of the true destiny to resist the impact of the torrent, and the spiritual waves were still being consumed continuously, with 1 per 1,000 of spiritual waves disappearing every second. If he continued like this, he could only support it for more than 10 minutes at most. His eyes flashed with the brilliance of the true destiny Deja, and he was looking for a way out. Soon, he saw where the way out was. The true gate stood quietly in a chaotic torrent, without being affected at all. At the moment of the explosion, an inexplicable fluctuation suddenly appeared behind the gate of the true gate. This fluctuation was very secretive and was not noticed by anyone. A vortex-like ripple appeared on the gate, just quietly appearing there. At this time, Lin Yi observed the changes here through the eyes of the true destiny Deja. The gate of truth has changed. Can we go in? When they were fighting the gatekeeper, some of them had already considered whether they could bypass the gatekeeper and rush directly into the gate of truth, thereby stepping into the mysterious land of truth. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1159. But the result was negative. The moment this thought came to their minds, they felt an incomparable danger looming in their hearts. It seemed that as long as they did this, they would definitely die. None of these powerful people who could achieve the level of true destiny were fools. They would never risk their lives to test the unknown. They didn't even release things like clones, such as the existence of the Gate of Truth. Even if the clone power was used to test, it might be traced back to the source and die. At this time, with the death of the gatekeeper, a wonderful change occurred on the Gate of Truth, and an inexplicable vortex ripple appeared. This might be the way to survive. Thinking of this, they took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in their eyes. Of course we have to fight. At this time, at least half of the more than 200 powerful people at the level of true destiny had fallen, and some were struggling on the line of life and death. Destruction might only be a matter of time. The whole environment was becoming more and more terrifying, and Mok Mingling's power was increasing exponentially. Not only him, but also some other true life-level masters have noticed the changes in the true gate. Without any hesitation, Lin Yi controlled the Wanqi house, turned into a green light, and rushed towards the true gate. But this road is not easy to walk. The huge torrent started from the direction of the true gate, and he was going upstream. The impact he received was naturally 100 times, 1,000 times the growth. His spiritual waves were being consumed at an unimaginable speed. The further he went, the more he discovered a problem. The land of life contained in the Wanchi house seemed to affect the consumption of his true life. The further he went, the things hidden in the space were gradually exposed. This exposure is a kind of life volume, like an invisible huge magnetic field, which is bound by an indescribable force. The stronger the life volume, the more difficult it is to penetrate the indescribable torrent. No, there are too many lives in the Wanchi house. If I continue like this, it will be difficult for me to cross the indescribable torrent and reach the gate of truth. They have provided me with a lot of power. If I abandon them, it will go against my heart. In an instant, he made a decision in his heart. A thought appeared in the land of marine life, and all lives and minds remembered an idea. At the critical moment of life and death, you now have a choice. You can only give up your body, life, and mind, leaving only pure will. In the future, if I can pass the gate of truth, it will be possible to find a way to revive you. If you don't want to, I will open the Wanchi house and you will be left here. You only have 10 seconds, please decide as soon as possible. At this time, there are still trillions of lives in the land of marine life. They have provided Lin Yi with a lot of resources and power. So now Lin Yi has left them a way to survive. Although he is not sure whether this way of survival can be realized in the end. But at least it is much better than simply waiting to die. 10 seconds, just 5 seconds, everyone made a decision. Leaving the Xuanhuan now means death. Lin Yi has never concealed the war outside from them. Let them watch the whole process through special means. They know that now is a time to race against time, and there is no time to waste. In 5 seconds, everyone chose to give up their lives and everything, leaving only pure will. Their souls and hearts were also abandoned. Okay, Lin Yi nodded secretly. A note appeared in front of all lives, and the content on it was to give up all their lives, souls, hearts, and leave only pure will. The abandoned life, soul, heart, and everything belong to Lin Yi. In the future, Lin Yi will find a way to resurrect them within his ability. Everyone signed the agreement, and the next moment, a force from the wish shrine instantly enveloped them. One by one, the hearts carried their last will, separated from their bodies, souls, and hearts, and all poured into the wish shrine. There appeared a space composed of the strange power of the wish shrine, accommodating all wills. The next moment, the ocean land of life became dead silent, and the bodies, souls, and eternal properties of trillions of lives became ownerless. The next moment, Lin Yi's mind moved. Countless strange auras poured out from the Wanchi house. Infecting these ownerless bodies, they began to change at an alarming speed and turned into cold and strange existences. Lin Yi was artificially creating weirdness. At this time, with the disappearance of countless lives, Lin Yi's pressure to go upstream became smaller and smaller. In an instant, it shrank thousands of times, and he rushed to the gate of truth like a thin needle. He was getting closer and closer to the gate of truth, and the torrent of indescribable power in front of him was also getting more and more intense. At this time, his spiritual wave consumed 99% again in this short time. A drastic change was also taking place in the ocean lifeland of the Wanchi house. Countless eternal properties erupted from the ocean land, sweeping away all the strange existences that had changed. In an instant, they were submerged by a torrent of eternal nature, and then died. Countless strange essences flowed into Lin Yi's body like a torrent. These strange essences are all transformed by the mind infected by the strange power. In an instant, the spiritual waves consumed by Lin Yi returned to their peak again. In front of him was the most violent indescribable torrent. At his spiritual level, he could clearly see the huge waves covering the sky and the sun coming towards him. This was the last huge wave. When he passed it, he would stand in front of the gate of truth. The true destiny is boundless, and the perseverance of the true destiny has been developed to the extreme. The last leap, plunged into the crazy indescribable power. The spiritual wave was rapidly consumed, and the whole Wanchi house was in a precarious situation. But in the end, it firmly passed through the huge torrent and fell in front of the Gate of Truth. At this time, the Gate of Truth was still only 3 meters in size. With it as the center, the range of 10 meters was calm. No power existed. Lin Yi slowly walked out of the Wanchi house, and the power of the root of the true destiny flashed, and the whole Wanchi house was shrouded. The next moment, the Wanchi house continued to shrink, became the size of a palm, and finally disappeared in Lin Yi's body. Just now, using the power of the true destiny, he refined the Wanchaiwu from the deepest level and turned it into a magic weapon. But its essence is still a strange item, a magic weapon refined from strange items. After putting the Wanchaiwu away, Lin Yi turned his head and looked behind him, where were the many true destiny level strong men. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1160. In the huge waves, rays of light bloomed, and they were powerful people of the true destiny level. Among them, there were clusters of light extinguished in the huge waves. Once extinguished, not even a firework would appear, and it would be completely swallowed up by the indescribable power. Among them, 3 figures attracted his attention. They were the will of all living beings, the God Emperor Dragon, and Ula. They were actually controlling the true destiny of the world. Although that world was really extremely fragile, the size of the true destiny of the world was huge, and surprisingly it had not been swallowed up by the indescribable torrent of murk. It's smart. At the moment when the land of life was destroyed, you took over the true destiny of the world. Ula got the true destiny of the world entropy increase, and with her own true destiny, she was the most stable among them. In Lin Yi's eyes, he could see that these people were filled with countless spiritual powers and wisps of thoughts. Those were all the lives in the 2 lands of life. They chose to sacrifice their hearts, leaving only their wills, and fight for the last hope with the God Emperor Dragon and others. Lin Yi was slightly surprised when he saw this, but he also understood that this was the only choice for ordinary lives like them. There was chaos in the torrent, and the flashing light spots had dropped sharply from hundreds at the beginning to 50. And all the light spots had not yet rushed into the 2/3 area of the torrent. What does this mean? Lin Yi knew it very well. The further they go, the greater the pressure they face. As for whether they can break through the barrier of the last torrent, it is hard to say. A thought crossed the torrent and appeared in the hearts of the survivors. I'll give you one last suggestion. You'd better gather all your strength and rush into the torrent again. At this time, the surviving true fate level strongmen all saw Lin Yi standing in front of the Gate of Truth. Their hearts were full of shock. They never thought that this mysterious owner of the Wanchaiwu was the first one to arrive in front of the Gate of Truth, and it looked so easy. At this time, Lin Yi did not step into the Gate of Truth blindly. Now there is no life in his Wanchaiwu, and the method of recovering strength just now is no longer effective. When he crossed the last torrent barrier, his true destiny was consumed by 90% again. He needed to restore himself to the peak state before he could enter the Gate of Truth. No one knew whether there was danger behind this mysterious gate, and he was the same. He sat down cross-legged and began to make mysterious seals with his hands, starting from the true destiny solution and ending with the true destiny longevity. He kept pinching the seals back and forth to speed up the recovery of the spiritual wave. Time passed by minute, and the only true destiny level strongmen in the torrent were all approaching rapidly. Among them were the 3-dimensional Tuigu clan, the Emperor God clan, the Dragon Huan clan, and the 5 strange, Zitian and other real people. The rest were all strongmen from the strange continent, the Holy Land, and countless time and space. Now there are only 50 of them in total. After gathering together, they directly pushed all the true destiny power, like a sharp cone, rushing into the deeper part of the torrent. With every step forward, they could feel the pressure getting heavier, and the breath of death was following them. The power of the true destiny was shaking wildly, and no one dared to hold back, because everyone's breath was connected together. No one could hide their bottom line of power. As time passed, they kept shuttling through one torrent after another. The glory of the true destiny had become increasingly dim, and they finally came to the last huge wave. But this huge wave was more powerful than the sum of all the indescribable forces before. No one knew whether they could rush through. But there was no time for them to wait. Facing the oncoming torrent, they could only rush forward with death in mind. All the strength was squeezed to the extreme in an instant. All the reserves in their bodies, the accumulation of countless years of foundation, were all injected into the true destiny at this moment. The true destiny brilliance that enveloped them seemed to have become substantial, a colorful true destiny light that seemed to tear everything apart. They rushed fiercely towards the barrier of this last torrent. The collision of heaven and earth was like a supernova explosion and the birth of the universe. An infinite light illuminated everything at this moment. This was the last light of countless sentient beings, the light accumulated for countless times, and the light formed by the convergence of countless lives and hearts. At this time, Lin Yi had stood up and had come to the gate of truth. Lingbo had recovered to its peak, and the infinite light behind him attracted his attention. Turning his head to look at the source of the light, a trace of surprise appeared on his face. It actually rushed to the last torrent. I wonder how many people can survive it? The infinite light spread rapidly in the huge torrent. The speed of light, even surpassing light, 1,000 times or even 10,000 times the speed, a dazzling point is rapidly approaching here. In Lin Yi's eyes, he can clearly see that in the light are the strong men who have given up their bodies and only left their true destiny. At this moment, they don't even need their bodies anymore, leaving only pure true destiny. Exhausted all their strength to gain this last ray of hope. Finally, the point that condensed all the power pierced the huge torrent. In this process, at least more than 30 true lives could not hold on to the end. In this final impact, they were ground by the indescribable power until they no longer existed. Only a dozen true lives finally descended here. After these true lives descended, they could not even transform into their bodies. Lin Yi just glanced at them, then took a step out and entered the mysterious and ethereal gate of truth. The moment he stepped into the gate of truth, he immediately felt that the surroundings were pure colorless. An inexplicable force enveloped him, pulling him to a wonderful place. There is no concept of time and space here, and it can even be said that there is nothing except the colorless torrent. He was wrapped in a huge torrent and went to the distance. This torrent did not have any danger, but it was extremely deep and I didn't know what it was. Lin Yi operated the light of the true destiny solution, and he could only see this invisible torrent, which seemed to be composed of countless particles. But he couldn't see deeper, or his spiritual wave was not enough. He would not waste his strength in such a place. He only briefly analyzed the mysterious torrent. He didn't know how long it had been, but suddenly, an infinite light appeared in front of the torrent. The light was so dazzling that he couldn't even look at it.